Thank you. Those have joined the workshop early. We're going to wait for a few more people to join the workshop. In the meantime, if you want to test your chat function and share with us today where you're joining from today, and we've got some directions on here if you want to turn on your closed captioning. And then if you are having any technical difficulties, you can email us at lwcf@parks.ca.gov. That's if you got any problems with anything, just email that and we will reach out to you. Also, if you're not seeing that chat function, what has worked for people in the past is to leave the workshop and then come back in. And we'll get started here in just a bit. Good morning, everyone. Before we get started here, just a few things. If you want to test your chat function as we wait for a few more people to join, that's great. If you want to share with us where you're joining today, that'd be awesome. If you do not see that chat function, what has worked for people in the past is to leave the workshop and then come back in. If you are having any technical difficulties, please email us at lwcf@parks.ca.gov. We'll be monitoring that email throughout the workshop for anybody that's having any technical difficulties. And we'll get started here in just a moment. All right. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Kyle Bolin. I'm the supervisor of the Office of Grants and Local Services National Park Service Unit. We administer the Federal National Park Service grant programs. Thank you for participating in the Outdoor Recreation Legacy Partnership, or we're going to call it ORLP, application workshop. The ORLP program was established in 2014 and is funded through Land and Water Conservation Fund. ORLP focuses on funding projects in urban areas with little to no access to publicly available, close by outdoor recreation opportunities. ORLP funds the acquisition and or development of new parks or substantial renovations to parks in areas that meet certain population requirements. So thanks for joining us here today. We know your time is valuable. We appreciate your attendance and participation. We've got an amazing team of subject matter experts and project officers to support you through every step of the application process. I'm going to turn over to our team right now to introduce themselves, and we'll start off with Sochi.
Hi, thank you, Kyle. My name is Sochi Prak. I'm the manager for the team, and we are very excited to host the ORLP workshop with you today. We're looking forward to your applications. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Kate.
Hello, everyone. My name is Katie Freeling, and I am the Southern California Project Officer. I will be one of our presenters today, and I look forward to supporting all of our Southern California agencies in the application process. Turning it over to Katie Bush.
Hi, everyone. My name is Katie Bush. I'm the project officer for Northern California, and I'll be one of the presenters today. So I look forward to helping you guys out. I'll hand it off to Lydia.
Hello, I'm Lydia Willett, and I am another project officer, and I am the project officer who assists people with the Central Region, and I'm also going to be a presenter today. And I'll pass it off to Kristen.
Hi everyone, I'm Kristen Way. I'm an environmental scientist on our NPS team, and I'll be helping out behind the scenes today. And I'll pass it off to Catherine.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Catherine. I am the Senior Environmental Planner here on the NPS OGALS team. I help with post-selection federal requirements, but today I'll be working behind the scenes with Kristen, and I will turn it back over to Kyle.
All right, thank you, team. We really want to stress our eagerness to support you through this process. We are here to help. As you consider submitting an application and begin the application process, please reach out to the project officer assigned to your county for hands-on support. We enjoy answering questions and helping you submit the most complete application. We've posted a link in the chat for a list of the project officers assigned to your county. For ORLP, reference the blue column, which is the National Park Service Grant project officers. Our workshop today is geared toward an applicant wishing to complete the ORLP competitive process. We're going to cover a lot today, including program requirements, the California application requirements, the program timeline, and helpful tips for completing your application. Our primary goal is to leave you today with a well-rounded understanding of how to develop a competitive application. We encourage your participation and questions. If you have questions, someone else probably has that same question, so don't be afraid to ask it. Before we get started, I'd like to just cover a few housekeeping items. First, I want to let everyone know that this webinar is being recorded. We're going to post a recording of this on our ORLP webpage for future reference soon after this workshop. And then I'd like to call to attention a few of the Microsoft Team features to be aware of for this application workshop. So Kristen is circling where the chat feature is found. This feature is very important because this is where you can ask questions throughout the webinar. For those of you that do not see the chat feature, past participants have been able to access it by exiting and then re-entering the workshop. Please try your best to keep your questions related to the topic we are discussing. We're going to cover the entire application today. We'll be monitoring the chat feature and we'll be answering questions directly in the chat as well as answering some of your questions out loud. There's going to be time at the end of the presentation for you to ask questions verbally. If you see a check mark or a ship or an emoji next to your question, that's just our way of communicating internally to who's going to be answering your question. We just want to make sure that all your questions get answered. So the next thing that we have is closed captioning. So that's available in the workshop. Kristen is showing where the closed captioning found. So it's under these three dots. Then you scroll down to language and speech, and then you turn on show live captions. If you experience issues with sound or video, please email us at lwcf@parks.ca.gov. We're providing that email in the chat. Our team is monitoring that email to assist with any technical difficulties. All right, now let's check out the ORLP webpage. Kristen is currently showing it on screen, and we provided a link in the chat. The first page provides general information about the program. From the main page, you can activate tabs that provide more information about different phases of the program, such as application process, grant administration tab, stewardship requirements, and so on. We recommend you check out all these resources so you're well versed in the ORLP requirements before you apply. If you click on the application process tab, you'll find an overview of the funding opportunity. For this round of ORLP, there's approximately $50 to $120 million available for the nationwide competition. Project applications must request between $300,000 up to a maximum of $15 million, with a match requirement of at least 50%. That means that this program can fund up to a $30 million project. This page also includes information regarding eligibility requirements, timeline, a link to apply, and links to other helpful ORLP resources, technical assistance. As we scroll to the bottom under the application guide and technical assistance, there's a link for the California application requirements, which will be your guiding star as you complete the ORLP Round 8 application. Here's a sneak peek. We've posted a link in the chat of what it looks like, and this matches exactly what is in Submittable. So you can see the questions before you get into Submittable for submitting your online application. So now that you know where to find everything, I'm going to hand it off to my team to write a deep dive into the ORLP eligibility requirements and application process. As a reminder, please use that chat feature if you have any questions. Katie Freeling, take it away.
Thank you, Kyle. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to share more about this opportunity with you. Applications are live and can be submitted now through August 28th before 11:59 p.m. We know this is a quick turnaround, but please know our team is available to support you every step of the way. The most recent notice of funding opportunity released by NPS was for a 5-year program. Accordingly, we may host future rounds of ORLP. However, the timeline and project selection criteria will likely be different than what we're covering today. Today, we'll be covering eligibility requirements, project selection criteria for the state application, application attachments, and next steps. ORLP involves 2 competitive layers. First, the California Department of Parks and Recreation's Office of Grants and Local Services, commonly referred to as OGALS, competitively reviews applications. The most competitive projects from that round will receive one-on-one support from our office to complete the full federal application. Most of the content from your initial application will inform the federal application, and our team will provide hands-on support to fine-tune your federal application, which will be submitted to NPS for the national competition by November 1st. Today, we'll be reviewing the state pre-application process only. All applications will be submitted via the online platform Submittable. The link to apply is available on the ORLP webpage. The California application requirements we're reviewing today reflect the Submittable application, and links for both the ORLP application and California application requirements webpage are posted in the chat. There are 7 eligibility requirements in the ORLP program. Your project must meet all 7 of these requirements to be eligible for the program. Before you begin drafting your application, we encourage you to review the eligibility requirements thoroughly to ensure your agency and project are eligible. If you have questions about any of the eligibility requirements, reach out to your friendly NPS project officer, and we'd be happy to address the nuances of your agency or your project. Let's take a closer look at each requirement. Eligibility requirement 1 is eligible applicants, which includes cities, counties, federally recognized Native American tribes, joint powers authorities or JPAs that were formed for the purpose of providing park and recreation areas, recreation and park districts, open space districts, and special districts with authority to acquire, operate, and maintain public park and recreation areas, and eligible state agencies, including the Department of Parks and Recreation, Department of Fish and Wildlife, Wildlife Conservation Board, Department of Water Resources, and the State Coastal Conservancy. Note that nonprofits are not eligible to apply for this program. However, nonprofits can partner with an eligible applicant and have the eligible applicant apply for the program with the nonprofit as an acting partner. Eligibility requirement 2 identifies whether your project is located in a qualifying urban area. ORLP is focused on improving access to parks in urban areas with a population of 25,000 or more. Accordingly, projects must be located in one of the following qualifying areas. This includes an urban area with at least 25,000 people, shown in purple on the US Census Tiger Web tool, or an urban area adjacent to another urban area where the combined population is 25,000 or more. And as of yesterday, NPS added a new eligibility option, which is projects that directly abut to the boundary of a qualifying urban area, as demonstrated in the visual on the screen. In this situation, applicants must show that the project site can be directly accessed from the qualifying urban area. For example, by explaining existing rights of way, roads, or paths that connect to the urban area to the project site. And finally, a federally recognized tribes land with any population is eligible for ORLP as well. Using the US Census Tiger Web tool, you can check if the proposed project site is within a qualifying urban area. The link for this tool is in the chat, and we'll do a quick demo to show you how this tool works. So Kristen has the tool up on the screen now. You'll navigate there and then click the urban areas checkbox in the sidebar on the left of the screen. In the upper right-hand corner, there's a button that says landmass. Kristen's circling that now. You'll click that button until it reads terrain, and the map background shows up as a satellite image. Using the address bar at the top of the screen, type in the park street address and hit the enter key. An auto-filled address will appear. See that in just a moment. And you'll click on that address. Once you've confirmed your project site is within an urban area, click the information bubble in the right-hand corner of the screen. This purple background is that urban areas filter, so that's how you know if your project site is in an urban area. So a crosshair has been activated, and you'll select the urban area where the project site is located by just clicking on the screen. Then you'll look at the taskbar on the left side of the screen. It should show task results, and click the urban area, in this case, Sacramento. When you click that urban area, a pop-up with the urban area information will generate. Check to ensure the urban area has a population of at least 25,000. And Kristen's showing where you can find that now. Take a screenshot of the pop-up and map of the urban area and be sure the file includes the satellite map image, street address for the park, or nearby location, latitude and longitude coordinates, and population. Note that using the print option in this tool does not include all of the needed information on the PDF that is created, so please take a screenshot. If you're using two urban areas adjacent to each other for eligibility, make sure to generate a report for both urban areas. And there's a couple things I want to note about this tool. We've provided the demo just now, but there's a lot of steps involved. So we actually have a PDF of step-by-step guidance that walks through this process with screenshots so that you have that as a resource when you actually go to generate your report. And then also the TigerWeb tool does not allow you to search for locations based on latitude and longitude. So if your park or project site does not have an official address yet, then please choose an official address nearby your project site and use that to generate your urban area report and to determine if the project site is in an urban area. The folks who are reviewing your application will then verify with the longitude and latitude you submit with your submittable application and the nearby address that you've provided that the project site is in one of these qualifying areas. So that was a lot of information, so I just want to pause briefly for any questions you might have. Doesn't look like we have any in the chat yet, but please throw them in the chat whenever they arise. We'll address them at the end of each section. All right, so moving on to eligibility requirement 3, committed funds. ORLP is a reimbursement-only grant program and requires the applicant to cash flow 100% of the total project costs, with the understanding that ORLP can reimburse up to 50% of the total project cost. For example, a $30 million project seeking $15 million in reimbursement, the applicant must certify that they have committed funds of $30 million to complete the project. The funding must be committed at time of application, meaning the money is already secured for the project. We highly recommend connecting your agency leadership and/or governing body to ensure there is a proactive funding plan and potentially a backup plan in place to cash flow this project. When completing the committed funds section of the application, it's important to understand matching fund requirements. All match costs must be for eligible costs. For reference, a list of eligible costs can be found at the end of the California Application Requirements webpage. In general, most federal sources are not eligible for match, while state, local, and private sources, including donations and volunteer work, are eligible. The few federal match sources that are eligible include Community Development Block Grants, CDBG, Recreation Trails Program, RTP, Fixing America's Surface Transportation FAST Act, Readiness and Environmental Protection Integration Program, or REPI funding. The reimbursable cash flow source will equal the grant request amount up to 50% of the total project cost. These are the funds you intend to use to cash flow the project prior to reimbursement. The match source is the funding you intend to use to meet the ORLP's matching requirements of at least 50% of your total project cost. Remember, all funding sources must be committed, meaning secured, at time of application. If committed funds are not available, or if more fundraising will be needed after the application due date, the project is ineligible. And I do just want to make a quick note that funding sources can change after the time of application. So if right now you're just starting to secure funding for a project, what we need to confirm is that your agency is willing to fund and back this project 100%. But as you are, pursue more funding and are awarded more grants, you can replace your city's commitment with the funding that you secure for the project. All right, any questions? Doesn't look like we have any questions. Oh, looks like one popped up. Is the population requirement based on the city or the county? So great question, Ashley. This new ORLP NOFO includes that unique qualifying urban area criteria. So it's not necessarily population based on a city or a county. It's uniquely tied to that qualifying urban area. So you must use the Tiger Web tool to determine if the project site is within a qualifying urban area of 25,000 or more. So most likely, if your project's within a purple zone on that Tiger Web tool, it's eligible. But just to confirm, make sure that the population within that urban area is in fact over 25,000. Okay, keep the questions coming, but I'm going to turn it over to Lydia, who will pick up at eligibility requirement 4.
Thanks, Katie. Okay, so we're gonna start with eligibility requirement number 4 as the timeline confirmation. You must be able to confirm that you understand and your project is compatible with the ORLP timeline. When reviewing the timeline, consider the following. Are the funding sources you propose to cash flow match the grant compatible with this timeline? Is the timeline compatible with your agency's desired timeline for groundbreaking? Is our agency able to delay groundbreaking to allow for required environmental reviews? And if selected, will the project be complete and open to the public within 5 years? So let's take a closer look at the timeline now. First, all ORLP applications are due before 11:59 p.m. on August 28th, 2026. OGALS will review submitted applications through the end of September 2026 and will select the most competitive applications to move forward with completing the full federal application. Our team will work with selected applicants to complete the federal application requirements, and NPS requires that all states submit their selected applications for the national competition by November 1st, 2026. And there is no guarantee your project will be selected and funded. The NPS National Competitive Review Committee's estimated selection date is May 2027. So if the National Review Committee selects your application, then you advance to the post-selection federal requirements phase. And then those selected applicants will have a year to complete post-selection federal requirements that include NEPA, CEQA, Section 106, and a few other elements that are required. And please know, ground disturbing activities such as site prep, grading, plant removal, and demolition within the project footprint cannot begin until NPS approves the post-selection federal requirements and provides a start date. This means no groundbreaking activities, even work not funded by ORLP, can take place within the project site footprint until these federal requirements are complete. Groundbreaking includes brush clearing, grading, fencing, staging. For acquisition and combination projects, properties cannot be acquired until NPS provides a start date. Our office will notify you when a grant performance period start date is assigned, but it will be at least 1 year after NPS selection. OGALS will not start reviewing and processing NEPA and Section 106 packages until after the application is selected by NPS through the national competition. NPS conducts a final review of the application after the post-selection federal requirements are complete, and then issue the funding agreement. NPS estimates grant performance periods to be from approximately 2028 through 2034. Approved projects will receive their state contract and attend the ORLP LWCF Grant Administration Workshop, and applicants then must be able to complete the project within 5 years of the grant performance period start date. Once the project is complete, it will be protected for public outdoor recreation in perpetuity. It is your agency's responsibility to maintain and operate the park according to the ORLP LWCF stewardship requirements. So now if you have any questions about this timeline, please put them in the chat now, or when you think of questions. So I don't see anything. All right, so then we're going to move on right now to eligibility requirement number 5, which is confirmation of land ownership. Applicants must currently own the project property, or in the case of acquisition projects, become the property owner through acquisition. Since the entire park, not just the project site, will be placed under LWCF protection in perpetuity, applicants must own the entire park property. We highly encourage you to look into the project's property land tenure prior to application, as it isn't always simple. Property ownership will be verified by the review team prior to selection. And if it is determined your agency does not have sufficient land control, the project will be ineligible. If you have a complex land tenure case, please do not hesitate to contact your NPS unit project officer that is assigned to your county, and we are more than happy to help you figure it out. Okay. So eligibility requirement number 6 requires applicants to confirm that if awarded, the entire park boundary will be protected for public outdoor recreation in perpetuity. This is an ORLP LWCF requirement, and there are no exceptions. Prior to project closeout and final reimbursement, all awards will be required to file a deed restriction on the title to the property to ensure the property is protected for public outdoor recreation in perpetuity. And then the final eligibility requirement is related to ground disturbing activities. Due to the federal environmental review, selected projects are subject to no ground disturbing activities can occur within the project site boundary from time of application until NPS approves the project for ground disturbance. This again includes grading, site prep, staging, demolition, non-routine vegetation removal, and construction. Please note, this list is not inclusive, and any ground disturbance prior to NPS approval may jeopardize your award. So before applying, please reach out to your project officer. If your project is part of a larger phased project, your project is under development, or your agency intends to break ground prior to summer of 2028. So this includes the ORLP Round 8 eligibility requirements. So if your project is eligible, please apply. And then I think we're gonna pause for questions right now. And I see there's been a few. Does CEQA take longer than 5-year timeline? I'm going to let Kyle answer that question.
I answered it in the chat.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't see. Oh, I see now. Sorry.
So in most cases, yeah, CEQA should not be taking you 5 years to complete, but your CEQA is used to inform your NEPA. NEPA will need to be complete. You have a 1-year time to complete NEPA. We'll go over that in a little bit, but you have 1 year to complete NEPA after a project is selected before NPS will give a start date for the project.
Thanks, Kyle. And then Meg is asking about groundbreaking and what will happen if a project will expand an existing park, but the expansion area is going to require soil remediation. Does this kill the competitiveness of the project? It wouldn't, as Katie replied to your response, this wouldn't, yeah, she's right. This wouldn't necessarily kill your project, but we don't cover remediation costs. So the remediation would need to be completed before the project work could take place. And then if you want more specific stuff, it is good to just ask us, because sometimes things are like specific to the project site related.
If I could just clarify a little bit on that.
Yeah.
If the site needed the remediation, you still couldn't begin the remediation process at this time because the site cannot have any ground disturbance. But you do have the 5-year time period, and so we can work with you and see, what's the timeline for remediation, and can we get the project done after remediation is done? And like Lydia did say, remediation costs is not an eligible item under Land and Water Conservation Fund or ORLP. But yeah, if you want to reach out, kind of sounds like a really specific, fine detail project, just reach out to your project officer and we can give you additional information about that.
Thanks, Kyle. Okay, and then another question is, if the project received NEPA approval already from a previous application that was not awarded, does that waive groundbreaking requirement? And Kristen,
I can answer
I'm
that
gonna
one.
I'm gonna let you guys take
It's
that.
so if the NEPA was for a land and water project, it could help make it go quicker. It's not gonna waive it because there is also a section 106 that's got to be completed. So it does not waive the groundbreaking requirement, but it may make the process go faster.
Thanks, Kyle. All right. So keep putting your questions in the chat. And right now I'm going to now turn it back over to KDB to review project selection criteria.
All right, thank you, Lydia. So I'm sure everyone here is eager to learn how your project can earn points in this program. So there's 8 project selection criteria that are scored for a total of 105 possible points. So a couple things to note: that points are gained through meeting scoring criteria as outlined in the California application requirements, and everyone is starting with 0 points. So the guidance for each criteria includes a scoring rubric to show you exactly what you need to do to gain maximum points for each criteria. So we recommend using the criteria and scoring rubric to conceptualize a project that scores as many points as possible, because projects that do so are more likely to be competitive. So keep in mind that your responses to each criterion will be compared to other applications submitted statewide. The project selection criteria is the opportunity where you have your opportunity to tell your story and help us visualize how this project will transform the community that it serves. Be thorough in your responses and make sure it's clear how the project will address each of the criteria. As a best practice, you may want to gather all relevant information and required documentation prior to beginning your application. Use this information to build the story you are going to tell and ensure consistency throughout the application. For additional support, we've included technical assistance, tips, and best practices after Criterion 8 on the California Application Requirements webpage, which you'll see on the left here on the slide. The same technical assistance tips are also available directly in the submittable application after each criterion, and that's shown here on the right on the slide. So the project selection criteria section begins with a project summary. This summary can be up to 500 words long and is a brief summary of the proposed project deliverables. So this summary is not scored. In all recreation, or be sure to note that all recreation features and major support amenities proposed for the project should be included in this summary. If the project is land acquisition only, the summary must include a description of how the park will be open and accessible to the public upon purchase of the property. Acquisition projects must be open to the public for outdoor recreation within 3 years of property purchase. If development is needed to activate the park, describe the plan for development and the proposed timeline for completion. The project summary is like your project's elevator pitch. It should be thorough, concise, and compelling. The project selection criteria and maximum points across the entire application include type of project for 10 points, new outdoor recreation features for 20 points, environmental design 15 points, statewide comprehensive outdoor recreation plan or SCORP for 6 points, community-based planning is 23 points, partnerships is 6 points, CEQA bonus is 5 points, and community challenges and project benefits is 20 points. Applications can achieve a total of 100 points plus 5 bonus points for CEQA completion. We'll go through each of these criteria now. Criterion 1 is type of project. You'll be identifying if your project is a new park, expansion of an existing park, or improvement of an existing park with no expansion. The ORLP program prioritizes projects that create new parks where there were previously none, which is reflected in how this criterion is scored. New parks receive 10 points. These are projects located where a park does not currently exist. Projects that expand an existing park will receive 7 points. Park expansions consist of adding acreage to increase the official boundaries of an existing park. The project may also include improvements within an existing park boundary. Projects that improve an existing park without an expansion will receive 5 points. This would be something like replacing a playground or updating a splash pad while the size of the park remains the same. If the project does not create, improve, or expand a park, the project is ineligible. The National ORLP program prioritizes new outdoor recreation features. Projects that create multiple new outdoor recreation features to significantly increase the number of people or user groups that may be served will be the most competitive in this program. Recreation features are defined as a facility that provides active or passive outdoor recreation use. New for this round of ORLP, Native American event sites and cultural gathering spaces, as well as shooting sports facilities such as archery ranges, skeet fields, and safe shooting areas are eligible recreation features. An important nuance is the difference between a new recreation feature and renovation of an existing recreation feature. A new recreation feature is a feature that did not previously exist in the park, or it's a recreation feature that has been so drastically renovated that it will allow for new and expanded use by additional groups of people who might not have used it previously. A renovated recreation feature, in comparison, is a feature that is being improved or replaced and will serve generally the same audience. We'll take a look at some examples of both of these. So let's say that your project proposes to construct a new 5 to 12-year-old playground. There is currently a 5 to 12-year-old playground in the park, but it's so dilapidated that no one uses it. We'll take some guesses if this is a renovation or a new recreation feature. If you want to put your answers and guesses in the chat real quick. We'll go over a second example as well. So a second example is a project that proposes to construct a new universally accessible 5 to 12-year-old playground. So for this particular playground, it has ramps so kids of all ages and abilities can access the entire play structure. There's currently a 5 to 12-year-old playground in the park, but it's not universally accessible and is so dilapidated no one uses it. This second example, if you want to guess if this is a renovation or a new recreation feature, you can put your answer in the chat for that one. Cool. Cool. Okay. So let's take a look here. So example 1 would be considered a renovation of an existing recreation feature. The same general group of people that are using that feature will likely continue to use that same feature. This renovation is an eligible project, but it wouldn't be as competitive as a project that is putting in a new recreation feature. This renovation would not score points in this particular criterion. Now, example 2 would be considered a new recreation feature because it is profoundly expanding access to people of all abilities. This universally accessible playground would receive points in this criterion. In summary, renovations of existing recreation features are allowed. However, for them to qualify on the same level as a new recreation feature, it must be very clear in the criterion response that the renovated feature will expand access to new user groups. Renovation projects that appear to be a facelift or are only replacing existing recreation features will not score as high in the national competition. Remember that while major support amenities such as picnic areas, irrigation, or lighting throughout the park are eligible costs, they will not receive points in this criterion. So if you want to make your application more competitive, take another look at your project deliverables to determine if any renovated features can be redesigned to expand access to new user groups. So for criterion 2, let's take a look at the points real quick. So projects with 4 or more new outdoor recreation features will receive 20 points. Projects with 3 new features will receive 15 points, while projects with 2 new features will receive 10 points. Projects with 1 new feature will receive 5 points, and projects with only renovations of existing features will receive 0 points. Examples of eligible new outdoor recreation features and major support amenities can be referenced in Criteria 2 Technical Assistance. Please note that these lists are not inclusive of all eligible features. If there's any questions about the first 2 criterion, I think I saw a couple questions come in. So Angelo is asking, can you highlight the main differences between ORLP and SPP grant opportunities to help us decide which might be a better fit for our project? And I think we had an answer in the chat here. Okay, so ORLP and SPP are 2 unique opportunities. The SPP application guide is undergoing final revision, so we can't speak to the exact differences at this time. However, SPP funds may be used to match ORLP, so you may apply for both programs. Perfect.
If I could also add in, just for a little difference from ORLP and SPP, is that ORLP does have a match requirement of 50%, whereas SPP has no match requirement. The request amount for SPP is a maximum of $8.5 million.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Okay, and then we have another question from Meg. If a client wants to develop a portion of a park that is not in an expansion area, but the overall park project includes an expansion area that will be placed in perpetuity, does this get 7 points, or does the project need to take place within the expansion area? Let's see. So,
I answered this a little bit below.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Yeah, let me scroll down there real quick. Okay, to count as an expansion, the park boundary must be increased. The expansion area cannot be currently zoned as park space. So there you go. And also just a heads up that the entire park will be placed under protection. So if like the project work is taking place in one part of the park, it's the entire park that ends up being protected at the end of the project. So keep that in mind. Yeah, okay. And then another question, we cannot use SPP for matching ORLP since both are federal funds, right? So SPP is state funding, and you can use it for match for ORLP and LWCF. Yeah, perfect. Katie got the answer right at the same time. Okay, cool. So if you have any more questions, feel free to put them in the chat, but I'll turn them over to Katie Freeling. Oh, we got one more. Are multiple project area park renovations allowed for one application? We have a citywide capital improvement plan for our parks. So if you have, each project can be only for one park site. So if you have 2 different parks you want to work on, you have 2 different applications to fill out. Yeah. But also note that, like, because this is such a short turnaround time for ORLP here, we do have the LWCF program that will, we do rounds over 2 years. So if you can't get them all done for ORLP, there is LWCF as an option as well too. So, but it's the same for LWCF. You would need to apply 1 park project per application. So,
if I can add a little something just to piggyback on what Katie just said, 1 park, 1 application. Regardless of how many projects, amenities you want in the park. But I can tell you, the more you have in the park, it does help make it more competitive.
Awesome. Okay, well, now I'll turn it over to Katie Freeling, but keep putting your questions in the chat and we'll answer them as we go along.
Thanks, Katie, and thank you everyone for your really good questions. We appreciate it. So moving on to criterion 3, environmental design. Here you will describe how your project includes environmental or ecological measures that mitigate the impacts of future natural disasters and enhance resilience for the community it serves. Keep in mind that adjacent city or region-wide initiatives will not earn points for this criterion. It must be initiatives specifically related to this project. If your project clearly includes at least 4 of the following techniques, you'll earn full points. The techniques include stormwater management, water efficiency, carbon sequestration via tree planting, sustainable landscaping, wetland creation, big game improvements, natural infrastructure investment, and community resilience benefits. NPS really expanded this section in their most recent NOFO, so there's lots of more opportunities to earn points. So let's take a look at each one of these measures. First, stormwater. In the application, you'll state if the project incorporates pervious surfaces or other techniques such as bioswales or grading to capture stormwater for infiltration, irrigation, or cleansing stormwater before release. Next, water efficiency. Be sure to mention the use of any water efficient irrigation systems that include a rain sensor, evapotranspiration ET controllers, flow sensors, or on-site water recycling that reduces potable water consumption. Alternatively, if the project is designed to not require additional water, describe how the project will not increase water consumption. Carbon sequestration through tree planting. Highlight if the project involves tree planting. Provide an estimate of the number of trees to be planted and any other details regarding tree planting known at time of application. If the grant is awarded, grantees may be required to report on the tree species and size of trees at planting before project completion. A really helpful resource is the iTree site. We've posted a link to that site in the chat, which provides information on the benefits of different tree types and helps assess current tree canopies. This website is a great resource when responding to this criterion and when looking at what kind of trees you might want to plant at your site. The link is also available in the technical assistance section of the application. Next, landscaping. Tell us if the project includes landscaping that excludes the use of invasive plants and instead features drought-tolerant or climate-appropriate non-invasive native turf, trees, shrubs, plants, and ground cover. If applicable, discuss how the landscaping minimizes the use of toxic pesticides and inorganic fertilizers. The California Invasive Plants Inventory, published by the California Invasive Plants Council, is a great resource when responding to this criterion when you're choosing what different types of plants you want to include at your park. Next, we have wetlands. Does your project provide habitat, water quality improvements, flood mitigation, or outdoor recreation opportunities oriented around wetlands? Information on wetlands in or around the project area may be in your CEQA document under Section 4. Keep in mind, wetland work may be subject to safe harbor agreements. Safe harbor agreements are voluntary agreements with non-federal property owners to conserve at-risk Endangered Species Act listed or candidate species. If you have an Enhancement of Survival EOS permit, Conservation Benefit Agreement, or Safe Harbor Agreement, please include information on the agreements or permits in your application. A link for more information on Safe Harbor Agreements is posted in the chat. Next, we have big game. Does your project create winter range or migration corridor habitat for any big game species? You may find information on wildlife corridors within the CEQA document under Section 4D. Also, CDFW provides a variety of interactive maps to show connectivity for habitat and movement data for California deer, elk, and pronghorn. A link is now in the chat to access those maps. Natural infrastructure. Tell us if the project includes work related to shoreline stabilization and/or habitat restoration. And finally, community resilience benefits. How does your project reduce heat islands, improve air or water quality, or provide other benefits related to climate resiliency? It will not be sufficient to simply state, yes, my project will include this technique. You must provide a clear description as to how the ORLP specific project will integrate the said measure or technique. Scoring for criterion 3 is projects that will include 4 or of the listed techniques, 4 or more, will earn 15 points. Projects that include 3 will earn 10 points. Projects that include 2 will earn 5 points. And projects that will include none of the listed techniques will earn 0 points for this criterion. It looks like we had a question come in, so I'm going to address that now. Meg has asked, to clarify my previous question, our client has a park project. The overall park project includes an expansion. The park is not yet under in perpetuity protection. To focus, this ORLP funding request will be only for a different area of the park, not in the expansion area for installing new recreation features. However, they plan to place the entire park under the perpetuity protection. So even though they are not working in the planned area nor asking for funding for the expansion area, can the focus project installing new recreation features not in the expansion area count as an expansion project? Sorry if I'm not being clear. No, you're totally being clear, Meg. I think this is a perfect example of a project-specific nuanced question. And especially when it comes, it sounds like this is a large project and you're going to be coming in requesting funding for a smaller piece of that larger project. And so when that's the case, we really want to dig into the details of your project. It may be helpful to look at some maps and potential site plans for the larger project compared to the ORLP project you're bringing in. So please reach out to the project officer for that project site, and they'd be happy to look into that further and provide a response on how your project might earn points for that criteria. Anything that our team wants to add in regards to Meg's question? Thanks for that example, Meg. All right, moving on to criterion 4. Assess how your project meets the 2021-2025 statewide comprehensive outdoor recreation plan, known as SCORP priorities. The SCORP establishes the current outdoor recreation priorities for our state. We've posted a link in the chat to the current SCORP priorities. This is a really thorough report that's developed with input from parks professionals all across California. So we encourage you to dig into it and learn about what those priorities are across our communities in California. We'll briefly cover the list of LWCF priorities, but more details are on the ORLP website and in Submittable. The current SCORP priorities are new park access, preservation, multi-use parks designed for all age groups in new or existing parks, health design goals for new or existing parks, safety and beautification for new and existing parks. Projects that address one or more SCORP priorities will earn 6 points. Most parks will meet at least one of these priorities, but don't panic if your project does not meet them all. We encourage you to explore the entire SCORP document and learn more about California's current outdoor recreation plan. Let's take a quick pause here for any additional questions that have come in. I'm not seeing any right now, but we are closing in on an hour. So before we move on to criterion 5, we'll take a quick stretch and water break. We'll be back in 10 minutes. So please join us here again at 10:07. We'll see you soon.
All right. Welcome back, everyone. We're going to resume our workshop with Criterion 5, Community-Based Planning. Effective, highly used, and safe parks are designed using significant community input. Applicants are encouraged to partner with community-based organizations to host meetings and engage residents in the planning process. The purpose of having meetings is to promote a group dynamic where participants build upon the ideas of one another. Engaging residents in interactive group discussions can lead to a more in-depth understanding of outdoor recreation needs in the area. So this criterion is your opportunity to share how you engaged the local community when planning and designing the proposed park. Show off how you engaged diverse perspectives and voices in the planning process, and effectively describe what the elements the community explicitly asked for and how they are being integrated into the project. It is 3 parts with points for each section. This is a major focus area for MPS, so please listen carefully. Parts A and B, you will detail the meeting location, schedule, and types of outreach that were conducted to engage the local community. Please note, surveys may be used as a community engagement tool, but alone a survey will not qualify as a meeting. Part C will highlight how residents were engaged to design the park and capture what community ideas made it into the final design of the park. So when responding to this criterion, it is important to review the OGAL's definitions for meetings, residents, and project site to ensure responses reflect program-specific definitions. And we will use these definitions when evaluating the responses. So I'm going to define these definitions. First, meeting is defined as residents working together as a group in person with the applicant or with the applicants partnering community-based organizations to design the park. The type of meeting can be creative, cost-effective, and non-traditional. Formal public hearings are not required. Next, residents. Residents are defined as the population living primarily within a half-mile of the project site, including youth, families, and older adults. And then project site definition is defined as the entire park property. So please be sure that you draft your responses with these definitions in mind. Surveys and virtual meetings do not count as meetings and will not earn points for this criterion. All 3 parts of Criterion 5 work together to illustrate how you offered the community the opportunity to propose ideas for the park and how you incorporated those ideas into the final design. We'll review this criterion 1 part at a time. For Criterion 5, Part A, you will provide the following information about each qualifying meeting that was held to gather public input on the project. This should include meeting date and year, meeting type such as park site tour, park design meeting, student engagement event, and so on. Meeting location, name, and address of the venue, start and end time of the meeting, day of the week, and a description of how the meeting location and time were convenient for nearby residents to attend. We are looking for meetings that were held at diverse times and places to make it easier for as many community members as possible to attend. This includes having meetings on weekends or evenings. If your meetings occurred more than a half-mile from the project site, please be sure to include a description of how the meeting was convenient and accessible to residents living near the project site. All meetings listed need to have taken place before the August 28th deadline to earn points here. if you have plans for meetings after the deadline, you can include them, but you will not earn points for those meetings. Within the application, we provided a template we would like you to use to structure your response, and please use this template. So to score the full 8 points for Part A, you need to have held 3 or more meetings located at or near the project site with residents who live primarily within a half-mile of the project site, with at least 2 of those meetings taking place on a weekend or in the evening. To score 4 points, applicants will have hosted 1 or 2 meetings at or near the project site with residents who live primarily within a half-mile of the project site, with at least 1 of the meetings on a weekend or in the evening. And then no points will be received for this criterion if meetings were not located at or near the project site with residents who live primarily within a half-mile of the project site, or if none of the meetings occurred on a weekend or evening. So let's pause to see if we have any questions. Let's see. Let's see. Can we, Shanna is asking if we can confirm how far back previous community meetings can date to still be considered valid. And are there rules on if they have to be evening or weekends? Yes, we encourage to, at least to score the most points, you want to have at least 2 of those meetings that took place on an evening or a weekend. How far back is, it should be as close to, confirming what the design and the project activity is for your design plan.
Hi, Lydia. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Sochi.
I'm so sorry. I don't mean to cut you off.
It's okay.
If I could, I'll just jump in right here. While there's not a set timeline for how far back you go, the most competitive applications are going to include community-based planning meetings that really speak to the project that is currently being developed. So a community-based planning meeting that was held maybe a decade ago is probably not going to be the most competitive compared to meetings that occurred in more recent times that really demonstrate what the community wants at that time, what their needs are, et cetera. While we can't give a definitive this or that, when the applications start rolling in, we'll see which ones are the most competitive. But I will add that there's a fantastic tool that I'll share with you in a moment for community-based planning meetings. So I will go ahead and turn it back over to Lydia.
Thanks, Sochi. Okay, so then I also see that Meg is asking about surveys and that it does not meet the definition of meeting. And then what about a pop-up booth? Yeah, surveys, you can include them, but we want to see more of an in-person, connecting with the people that you're designing the park for. So a pop-up booth, if it's, that would work well, like maybe at the project site, encouraging people to come and, discuss what their ideas on what they would like to see in the park. So, Sochi.
You actually just said it. A pop-up booth could be a great way to get a lot of people. It's, say there's a fair going on or some sort of community celebration, and having a pop-up booth is a great way to get a lot of different people. You just want to make sure that this pop-up booth allows for the opportunity for community members to share what they want, to share what they, everything from the type of amenities to the location of the park, et cetera, and have those tools available for them to share that.
Thanks, Sochi. Okay, so I don't really see any more questions right now, but keep them coming. They're good questions. And then I'm going to now move on to Part B. This is where you'll describe the outreach methods you use to invite and inform people about the meetings discussed in Part A. Additionally, you'll report how many people participated and a general description of the people who attended the meeting. So inviting residents is an important factor for attendance. The cumulative effect of the meeting should result in a broad representation, meaning inclusion of residents that may have different recreational needs, such as youth, older adults, families, people with disabilities, single adults, and other diverse populations. For example, meeting with youth at a school, older adults at a center, or parents at a PTA meeting may not get you a broad representation in each meeting, but when each meeting is added with others, the combination does. Involving a broad representation of residents can result in park designs that meet the diverse needs of the community. Please use the response template provided in Submittable. It's also on the slide now. And please list your meetings in the same order as criteria 5A. So to earn the maximum 5 points for criteria 5B, you will need to show that for the combined set of meetings, at least 3 distinct methods were used to invite a broad representation of residents. The number and general description of the residents who participated in the combined set of meetings must consist of a broad representation. Applicants that used 2 different invite methods and engaged a broad representation of residents in the combined set of meetings will score 3 points. Whereas applicants that used one invite method and engaged a broad representation of residents in the combined set of meetings will score 1 point. And then you will not earn points if the number and general description of the residents who participated in the combined set of meetings did not consist of a broad representation of residents, or only an advocacy group or league likely to promote a specific type of project was involved, or no residents were invited, or meetings did not occur. Within the technical assistance for this criterion, we provided examples of different invite methods that may be used to encourage resident participation, such as partnering with community leaders and organizations to assist with outreach, notices distributed at local schools, scheduling 1 or more meetings where residents will already be present, posting flyers in high foot traffic areas such as bus stops, major intersections, stores, schools, community centers, and libraries. Invitations and meeting materials should be published in languages predominantly spoken in the community, and if needed, have an interpreter present at meetings. More examples are available in the technical assistance. Okay. So we'll pause again for some more questions if we have anything more. And it doesn't look like it does. So I'm going to now turn it back over to Katie B to continue with part C.
Alrighty. So part C is where you will be demonstrating how residents were able to be hands-on in the park design process. This part is made up of 2 goals. Part C, goal 1, is capturing how recreation features were selected. Here you will describe how residents engaged in a process to reach a general agreement on the selection of specific features and unique character elements of those features. The most competitive projects will demonstrate how attendees were given a blank slate from which to design the park. Some ideas on how to do this include using easels or other means for residents to provide visuals or sketches of their ideas, and encouraging children to share ideas by providing them with pictures, stickers, and art materials or other tools during meetings. Previous applicants have reported that the best ideas came from children. Be sure to explain how participants picked out the recreation features that will be appearing in the completed ORLP project. You'll explain this process step by step so it's clear for reviewers. For the criterion, only list ideas that will be included in the proposed park project. These items should appear on your site plan and budget narrative. The list of unique character elements of the selected recreation features should represent detailed design ideas such as theme, color, size, shape, and number. So here's a couple of examples. For example, playground design elements. Residents might have chosen natural play structures that include wooden rocks rather than traditional prefabbed playground elements. Or maybe the residents recommended that the playground be designed like a train because the community has a deep railroad history. Athletic courts and field design elements could be shaped by feedback from athletes and coaches on the type of surfacing, space, scoreboard, netting, fencing, lighting, sun orientation, and other safety ideas. Design elements for athletic courts and fields include a full versus half court, type of backboard and goal standards, including 3-point and other lines and surfacing. A maximum of 5 points may be scored for this criterion. So projects where residents identified their preferred recreation features, not limited to a few predetermined options presented by the applicant, and then these residents selected the recreation features for the proposed project will earn 3 points. And additionally, projects where the residents also provided ideas for unique design elements for the selected recreation features that will be implemented for the proposed project may score an additional 2 points for this criterion. If the applicant's response does not include any of the elements in goal 1, the project will earn 0 points for this particular criterion. Let me see really quick if there's any questions. Nope, not yet. Okay, so goal 2 explores how the project supports volunteerism and employment opportunities for youth and people within the qualifying area. Be sure to review the definition of project to ensure your response addresses this criterion appropriately. As applicable, explain how the project provides opportunities for outdoor recreation and public land volunteerism and provides employment or job training opportunities for youth or people living within the qualifying area. Examples of ways your project could meet these priorities include contracting with the California Conservation Corps, California Association of Local Conservation Corps, or the CCC Tribal Corps to complete parts of the park construction work. Or maybe you partner with a local nonprofit organization, school, or social club to complete parts of the park construction work. Projects that address at least one of these priorities will receive 5 points for this criterion, whereas if the response does not address any of the priorities of goal 2, the project will receive 0 points. Any questions? Nope. Okay, so we'll move on to partnerships, which is criterion 6. The purpose of this section is to highlight public-private partnerships that are supporting this project. Past successful outdoor recreation projects include partnerships among public and private sectors, multiple levels of government, private and nonprofit organizations, and community groups. If the partnership includes in-kind labor, donations, or cash, that value can be put towards your project match requirement also. You'll be listing the names and general purposes of partnering agencies or organizations along with a summary of their specific role in the project. Only list partnerships related to the project's design, community-based planning, pre-construction, land acquisition, or construction phases. Do not include partnerships for program operation, programming at the park, or maintenance after project completion. Criterion 6 for scores. In order to score the full 6 points, the project must involve 3 or more partners, providing volunteer hours, materials, or funding for design, pre-construction, land acquisition, or construction. Projects that involve 2 partners will receive 3 points, and projects that involve 1 partner will receive 1 point. And if no partners are involved in the project, 0 points will be received for this criterion. If there's any questions, put them in the chat. I'm not seeing any right now. So Katie Freeling will take it from here.
Thank you, Katie. All right, moving on to criterion 7, CEQA. This is your opportunity to score those treasured 5 bonus points. Remember, projects that are selected by NPS for funding will only have 1 year to complete all post-selection federal requirements. These include environmental and cultural requirements, which can be very time-consuming. So having CEQA complete at time of application puts your project in a good position to complete these requirements within the post-selection federal timeframe. While CEQA completion isn't required to apply for this program, projects that have completed CEQA at time of application will receive 5 additional bonus points. To meet this criterion, please submit one of the following: a notice of exemption, or NOE, filed with and stamped by the county clerk, or an initial study with a negative declaration and a copy of the notice of determination, NOD, filed with and stamped by the county clerk, or an initial study or an environmental impact report and a copy of the NOD, filed with and stamped by the county clerk. Additionally, submit a state clearinghouse filing receipt showing that CEQA was filed. For more information on filing with the state clearinghouse, see the Governor's Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation and follow links for CEQA. We've put this link in the chat now. The submitted CEQA documents must be project specific, covering the proposed project area and all of the components that will be funded with the ORLP grant funding and match funding. If you haven't started CEQA, start now. Ongoing CEQA can affect the NPS review and required consultations timeline if chosen. If you need guidance on kicking off this process, let us know. We are happy to provide tips specific to your project. It looks like we do have a question about CEQA or one of our other criteria. So let's go to the chat. Could you repeat one more time the types of employment, job training, and volunteer examples under criterion 5? Absolutely. So some examples include contracting with the California Conservation Corps, California Association of Local Conservation Corps, CalCC, or CCC Tribal Corps to complete parks or the park construction work, or potentially partnering with local nonprofit organizations, schools, or social clubs to complete parts of park construction work. So maybe having a day where residents can come out and plant some of the landscaping or trees part of the project could be an example. But these are not inclusive. So if you have a unique way that you're going to provide volunteerism or employment opportunities for people living within that qualifying area, let us know. Any questions about CEQA? All right, moving on to criterion 8, community challenges and project benefits. This is your opportunity to demonstrate how the area where the project will be taking place has a lack of access to parks, conservation areas, and outdoor recreation opportunities. Really get to the heart of the issues and maybe throw in a testimonial from people in your community. To jumpstart your response, you may refer back to criteria 3, environmental design, and criteria 4, SCORP priorities. In this criteria, you can build on these responses and tell the story of community need and highlight how the proposed project will really address those needs and transform the community. Keep in mind that responses to this criterion are limited to 1,000 words. Relevant community challenges may be related to community health and safety, resilience to natural disasters, avoidance of legacy pollution, limited access to clean water or air, and others as applicable. List the community challenges and describe how the project will specifically address each challenge and provide community benefits. Projects that meet the needs of diverse park user groups will be more competitive than ones that provide a single use for a more limited group. You may use metrics or data you've collected on a local level to demonstrate the relevant, unique challenges your community faces. Through your responses, we should be able to visualize how the community will be transformed for this project if it is funded. Our office will use information from throughout the entire application to assess how your project compares to the community challenges and project benefits of other projects submitted statewide. So since we're comparing this criterion to all other projects submitted statewide, don't miss out on your opportunity to tell your community's story. Communities that have high challenges and where the project will significantly improve the community's recreation opportunities compared to applications submitted statewide will score between 10 and 20 points. Communities that have average challenges and where the project will create average benefits for the community compared to other applications submitted statewide will score 4 to 9 points. And communities that have minimal challenges and where the project will minimally improve the community's recreation opportunities compared to applications submitted statewide will score 1 to 3 points. Any questions about criterion 8? Looks like one just came in. For the previous application round, disadvantaged community criteria primarily determined through Cal EPA SB 535 mapping or the Statewide Parks Program Community Fact Finder was a central eligibility consideration. Is this census tract metric no longer a core eligibility requirement under the current ORLP application cycle? So correct. Low income status or disadvantaged community status is no longer an eligibility requirement for this round of ORLP. However, you're welcome to use those tools and other tools you have, at available to you to demonstrate the community need and how your project will address those community needs. All right, so this concludes our overview of our scored selection criteria. If questions pop up related to the selection criteria, please put them in the chat and we will be sure to address them later on. But now we're going to dig into the required application attachment. After the project selection criteria are the required application attachments. Here, you'll upload a concept level site plan and budget narrative for your project. Our team is happy to review and provide input on your application attachments prior to submission, so don't hesitate to reach out for support. The site plan and budget narrative are not scored, but they're both required elements of the application. The site plan can be an legible drawing showing where the recreation features and major support amenities will be located in the park. This does not need to be a professional architectural rendering. It can be a simple drawing. Identify only the recreation features and major support amenities that are being proposed for this grant plus match. Do not include any recreation features or amenities that will not be funded by ORLP or match funds. If the project is a subset of a larger scope, you may shade out any pre-existing or future phase items that are not a part of the project proposal. We understand that the locations of the amenities may change, particularly if the project has not finished the planning stages yet, and that's okay. Provide a legend or key to visually explain all symbols used on the concept level site plan. And if the project scope includes eligible buildings, such as a visitor center or pool house, note the function and the building's approximate total square footage. If your project is selected, you'll be required to provide a blueprint of these buildings in the future. Double check that all the recreation features and amenities that you mentioned throughout the application and budget narrative also appear on the site plan. Labels for project deliverables should be consistent throughout the application, especially between the site plan and the budget narrative. So please use the exact same language throughout all elements. You will also be uploading a budget narrative estimate. please use the provided template. There is a link on the the ORLP webpage, and also within the submittable application itself. There are several tabs at the bottom of the template. NPS has provided helpful instructions to support your completion of the budget narrative. Based on our experience working with NPS, we have some budget narrative best practices that we hope you'll keep in mind when drafting your budget. As I've shared already, elements listed on the site plan and throughout the application should appear on the budget narrative. Use that consistent language when labeling scope of work elements. Keep in mind that administration related costs are capped at 7% of the total grant request amount. So if your total grant request is 1 million, only 70,000 can be put towards administration costs. So when you're designing your project and building out your budget narrative, to avoid going over on administration costs, we really encourage you to put as many costs as possible into the actual development and construction of your project. Each distinct recreation feature and major support amenity needs to be listed on its own line. Bundle costs associated with each feature or support amenity accordingly. For instance, the line item may read playground, ages 5 to 12. The cost for this line item may include equipment, playground surfacing, fencing, labor, etc. You will not list playground surfacing, playground fencing, playground labor on unique line items. You'll bundle them all into one unique line item that reads playground ages 5 to 12. Or a line item reading shaded group picnic area may include costs for the shade structure, tables, barbecue pits, surface paving, and labor associated with that shaded group picnic area. Balance the level of detail to adequately describe the proposed deliverable, but allow for necessary flexibility as the project is executed. Apply a 50-50 split between the federal share and non-federal share match for each cost estimate. If your project is selected, this will help facilitate a smooth reimbursement process. Should your match exceed 50%, only list match up to 50%. This will also facilitate a smoother reimbursement process and reduce the need for future budget modifications. There are no additional points for more than 50% match, so there's no need to go above that threshold. And finally, bundle contingency costs into each line item. NPS applies extra scrutiny to contingency costs through building them into each budget line item. You proactively account for inflation and unexpected cost fluctuations. Make sure you're using the Park Development and Acquisition tab when completing the budget narrative. The project title should be the park name and your agency name. The LWCF legacy number is not assigned at this time. You can leave that section blank. Recipient name is California Department of Parks and Recreation, and subrecipient name is the name of your agency. If claiming pre-award costs, include the exact date they began or will likely begin. Sources of non-federal share should list the match sources you're proposing for this project. And the cost methodology provides an explanation for how you came to the cost proposed in your project application. This is what the budget narrative template looks like. Please note you're unlikely to claim costs for equipment, miscellaneous, contingency, or indirect costs. A quick note about equipment costs. The program-specific definition for equipment NPS uses doesn't necessarily mean like playground equipment, fitness equipment, things like that. It's a much more narrow purview. So equipment costs for things that you're developing like playgrounds and things like that are going to be bundled into the construction cost category. If you feel your project does include costs related to equipment, miscellaneous, contingency, or indirect costs, please reach out to your NPS unit project officer assigned to your county, and we'll be happy to explore that case specifically with you. For more detailed instructions on how to complete the budget narrative, visit the California Application Requirements webpage. You may also reference our budget narrative how-to video, which we've posted in the chat for you. In the video, we use a slightly different template, but you can apply the same logic when completing the NPS budget template. Any questions about the budget narrative or best practices? Okay, doesn't look like we have any questions. Lydia is going to take us through our final application requirements.
All right, thanks, Katie. All right, we're almost there. So in this section, you're going to have the opportunity to upload project site photos and photos of community-based planning meetings. These uploads are optional and will not impact the scoring of your application. Project site photos should show current site conditions and may be used as before and after pictures on our website. We recommend including captions to orient the reviewer, and photos of the community engagement and park planning meetings provide a window into your community and offer a human element that demonstrates the community support and impact for this project. Please only submit requested application attachments. Do not send supplemental items such as letters of support. These items are not to be will not be reviewed. We do understand the work it takes to get these letters, so instead, please focus on planning the project. And all projects are reviewed based on the merits of the project using the project selection criteria only. So are there any questions about attachments? And I don't see any. So this concludes the review of the application requirements. I want to remind you of the additional technical assistance resources that are available towards the end of the ORLP California Application Requirements webpage. The link is in the chat now. And after the technical assistance section, you'll find a list of eligible and ineligible costs. These lists are not exhaustive. And if you have any questions regarding the eligibility of costs proposed for your project, please reach out to your project officer and we can help you. And then finally, the definitions of all the capitalized words and terms can be found at the bottom of the California Application Requirement ORLP webpage. Please, we highly recommend reviewing these definitions first to ensure that you have a complete understanding of all application requirements. So if there's any final questions, which I don't see any, so I am now going to turn it back over to Kyle to close out our workshop.
All right. Well, thanks, Lydia. All right, guys, folks, this was the review of the ORLP application process and the California application requirements. Let's review the next steps before we close. This is the timeline. So ORLP applications are due by 11:59 p.m. August 28, 2026. We strongly encourage everyone to start entering their applications on Submittable sooner rather than later. Also, one thing to know with Submittable is that you can invite collaborators to work with you, so multiple people can work on that application at one time, but only the account owner, the person who starts the application, is going to be the one who can submit that application. One thing to just keep in mind. So we'll begin reviewing applications, though, immediately as they get submitted. Selected projects will be informed and supported to submit a federal application package to NPS by November 1st, 2026. Projects selected by NPS are projected to be announced in May 2027. From that May 2027, you get 1 year to complete your NEPA and Section 106 requirements. Remember to reach out to your NPS grants project officer with any questions. Our contact list is in the chat. We're going to conclude the ORLP application workshop and see, are there any final questions? You can enter your question in the chat, or you can raise your hand. Just getting last minute questions again are also our project officers love answering questions. So if you think about something even after this workshop, send us an email. We'd love to hear from you and answer any questions you might have. And yeah, we'll just take a moment to see if we've got any last questions before we end the workshop. Okay, got a couple questions here. Okay, Meg's got a question. Can you once again describe appropriate project partner examples? Yeah, so I think one way to so to be eligible, you've got to be one of our eligible entities to apply, but you can partner with another entity that can maybe do your community-based planning or helping out with other parts of the grant, as long as the entity that's applying is eligible. Partnerships can be for community-based planning. They could be contributing monetary value. They could be providing volunteer hours. That would work as well for partnerships. Does that answer your question, Meg? All right. Jacob Vargas, will these slides be posted anywhere? These slides will not be posted anywhere, but the recording of this workshop will be posted on our website soon, probably by early next week, if not today. All right, that answered Solomon's question about the recording. All right, Katie's question about the presentation share. Yes, okay. Perfect. Doesn't see. Is there any last questions out here? Make sure we got everything. Okay, well, if there's no more questions, I just want to thank you all for your engagement and participation today. Together, we're able to create more access to parks. This access makes possible a meaningful opportunity experiences for communities across California. The impact of each and every one of these projects does not go unnoticed. Go forth and apply, and we hope to have an opportunity to work with you to bring your project to life. And that is the end of the workshop, and you guys have a great rest of your day.
We will hang on for a few moments in case there are any last minute questions. And thank you all so much for the positive feedback. We have a very passionate and caring and expert project officers who are waiting to answer all your questions and work with you one-on-one. Okay, I think everyone's off. Let's go ahead and join anew.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, all right, thanks.